You know that tight feeling in your chest that comes and goes? The one you chalk up to age, stress, or maybe just indigestion? What if I told you, quietly, calmly, but firmly, that something sitting right there in your fridge, something you thought was healthy, might actually be quietly hurting your heart every single day? I've seen this more than I can count. Seniors trying their best to eat clean, eat more greens, follow what they're told is healthy, only to feel more tired, more bloated, more off balance, and sometimes their heart pays the price. I'm not saying vegetables are bad. Of course not. But there are 5 specific vegetables that, when eaten the wrong way, or too often, can slowly strain your heart, raise your blood pressure, mess with your rhythm, and chip away at your energy. And most people over 60 have no idea. But you will, and once you know, it's going to change how you eat forever. This isn't a lecture. This is a heart-to-heart. Because I care. And because I know what it feels like to wake up one day and wonder, why do I feel older than I am? So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 everyday vegetables that may seem harmless, even good, but can quietly wear down your heart if you're not careful. And more importantly, I'll show you what to do instead. Simple swaps, smarter choices, no expensive supplements or complicated diets, just clarity. And trust me, you'll want to hear about number 5, because it's probably in your kitchen right now. So stay with me. This could be one of the most important videos you've ever watched for your heart. And if you're someone who wants to stay active, independent, and full of life long after 60, go ahead. Tap the like button, subscribe to Health 365, and drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from. I read every single one. Now, let's begin. Let's talk about the first vegetable on this list, the one that's hiding under the label of superfood, but can do real harm if eaten the wrong way. Ready? Let's go. Spinach. It sounds like the perfect food, doesn't it? It's green. It's leafy. It's what Popeye swore by. And for decades, we've been told to eat more of it. Raw in salads, green smoothies, juices. But let me tell you something that might surprise you. When you're over 60, your body doesn't process spinach the way it used to. Here's why. Raw spinach is packed with something called oxalates. These little compounds don't sound scary, but they can bind to calcium in your body and form crystals. Yes, crystals that can eventually turn into kidney stones. And when that happens, your body struggles to filter out waste, regulate blood pressure, and keep your cardiovascular system stable. Now you might be thinking, well, I don't have kidney stones, so I'm fine. But here's the problem. You don't have to feel anything for damage to be happening. Over time, too many oxalates can build up and start silently increasing inflammation in the blood vessels. And chronic inflammation is a direct trigger for high blood pressure, arterial stiffness, and heart strain, especially in seniors. There was a study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition that found high oxalate diets significantly increase calcium, oxalate excretion, especially in people over 50. That's science talk. For your body starts dumping important minerals while holding on to things that can hurt your kidneys and heart. I remember a woman named Elaine. She's 72. Beautiful spirit. Ate clean. Exercised. Did yoga. But she came to me frustrated that despite her lifestyle, her blood pressure was climbing. When we looked closely, she was juicing raw spinach every morning. That smoothie she thought was helping her? It was actually flooding her system with oxalates. All we did was shift her to lightly steamed spinach. Just 2 minutes in the pan, that's it. And we added some lemon juice to her meals. Within weeks, her blood pressure dropped, her energy improved, and she finally slept through the night without getting up to pee 4 times. That's the power of understanding your body after 60. You don't have to give up spinach. You just have to treat it with care. Here's what you can do starting today. Steam your spinach. Light cooking breaks down oxalates by over 80%, making it easier on your kidneys and friendlier to your heart. Avoid combining raw spinach with high-calcium meals like cheese or milk because it blocks the absorption and causes buildup. And if you really love green smoothies, rotate your greens. Try kale, romaine, or even arugula, which are lower in oxalates and gentler on your heart. And speaking of sneaky, let's move on to the next vegetable. It's crunchy, it's tangy, and it's probably sitting in a glass jar in your fridge right now. But for your heart, it can be a ticking time bomb. Let's talk about pickled cucumbers. They're cold. They're crunchy. They go perfectly with a sandwich or a bowl of rice. For many seniors, pickled cucumbers, also known as gherkins, are a staple. They remind us of childhood, home-cooked meals, maybe even grandma's kitchen. But here's the truth nobody really talks about. What makes pickles so tasty is exactly what makes them dangerous to your heart. I'm talking about sodium. Just one small pickled cucumber can pack more salt than a whole bag of plain potato chips. And if you're eating more than one, or pairing them with salty soup, cold cuts, or even soy sauce, you could be unknowingly pushing your heart closer to the danger zone. Let me explain. When your body takes in too much sodium, it holds on to water to dilute it. That extra fluid increases the volume of blood in your system, and suddenly, your heart has to pump harder, like a balloon stretched too tight. This raises your blood pressure, tires out your heart muscle, and over time, it can lead to heart failure, especially in older adults. A large-scale study published in the New England Journal of Medicine followed over 100,000 people and found that higher sodium intake was directly linked to higher blood pressure and greater risk of cardiovascular events, particularly in those over 60. And this wasn't from chips or fast food. It was from everyday, innocent foods like pickles, canned veggies, and preserved sauces. I once spoke with a gentleman named Mr. Long, 68 years old, retired teacher. He didn't smoke, didn't drink, and walked every morning. But his blood pressure was through the roof. When I asked him about his meals, he smiled and said, "Just rice, fish, and a few pickles on the side. Every day." Those few pickles? Over 1,500 milligrams of sodium a day, nearly the entire daily limit for someone with high blood pressure. We swapped out the pickles for fresh cucumber slices with apple cider vinegar and dill, just a pinch of salt. And within 2 months, his numbers dropped by nearly 20 points. He didn't have to give up the crunch, he just had to give up the overload. If you truly love that tangy flavor, here's what you can do instead. Try quick pickling at home. Use less salt, more vinegar, fresh herbs, and garlic. Rinse store-bought pickles before eating. Yes, just a quick wash under water can reduce surface sodium by up to 40%. Don't pair salty vegetables with salty meats or canned broth. Your heart feels that double punch. And most importantly, listen to your body. If you're waking up puffy, feeling sluggish, or noticing heart palpitations after meals, your sodium might be the quiet culprit. Now, the next vegetable on this list might surprise you even more, because it's praised by almost every health show and wellness blog. But when eaten raw and in large amounts, it can actually make your heart race, and not in a good way. Let's take a closer look at raw garlic. Garlic. Ah, the miracle bulb. You hear it everywhere. Garlic lowers cholesterol. Garlic protects your heart. Garlic is nature's antibiotic. And it's true, to a point. But here's the twist. When garlic is eaten raw, Especially in large amounts, it can actually do the opposite. It can overstimulate your heart and disrupt your rhythm. Let me explain. Raw garlic contains a powerful compound called allicin. That's the stuff responsible for its strong smell, its sharp taste, and many of its supposed health benefits. But when allicin enters your body in high doses, say, from raw garlic shots, crushed cloves in salad dressings, or even garlic pills, it doesn't just help your heart. It can stress it out. There was a clinical study in Phytomedicine Journal that found high-dose garlic extract could interfere with heart rate and cause hypotension followed by a rebound in blood pressure, meaning your pressure dips, then shoots back up. That bouncing effect isn't good for older hearts. It confuses the nervous system and makes the heart beat harder than it needs to. And in some people, especially those with mild arrhythmias, low blood pressure, or who are on blood thinners, raw garlic can trigger dizziness, fatigue, and irregular heartbeat. Let me tell you about Maria, a 70-year-old woman I met during a wellness retreat. Sweet, sharp, full of life. But one morning, she nearly fainted after breakfast. When we checked what she ate, it was just yogurt and a clove of raw garlic, like she'd done every morning for years. Her blood pressure had dropped so low, we had to give her sweet tea to bring it back up. You see, what helped her 20 years ago wasn't helping her now. Her body had changed. Her heart had changed. And that raw garlic routine? It had quietly turned into a ticking time bomb. So, what's the alternative? If you love garlic, and honestly, who doesn't? Lightly cook it instead. Just sautéing it for 30 seconds takes the edge off allicin without destroying all the benefits. And avoid eating garlic on an empty stomach, especially raw. It's far too aggressive and can irritate your gut and mess with your heart rhythm. And if you're taking medications like warfarin, aspirin, or beta blockers, talk to your doctor before using garlic supplements. Natural doesn't mean safe for everyone. The lesson here? Your heart doesn't need to be shocked. It needs to be supported, gently, consistently, and with foods that love it back in the right way. Now, brace yourself, because the next food on this list might seem completely harmless. You've probably eaten it in soups, stir-fries, or salads. It's small, it's crunchy, it grows fast. But when eaten raw, especially for seniors, it carries a silent risk you might have never considered. Let's talk about raw sprouts. They look so innocent, don't they? Tiny green shoots, often tossed on top of salads, tucked into sandwiches, or blended into smoothies. Raw sprouts, like mung bean, alfalfa, clover, or radish, are often praised as superfoods full of enzymes, vitamins, and youthful energy. But for seniors over 60, these little greens can carry a big risk, one that goes far beyond upset stomachs. Raw sprouts can quietly damage your heart health by triggering infections, inflammation, and even dangerous imbalances in your bloodstream. Here's the hidden danger. Raw sprouts are one of the most common sources of bacterial contamination in the produce world. Why? Because the warm, moist environment they grow in, the very condition that helps them sprout, is also the perfect breeding ground for dangerous bacteria like E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria. And if you think your immune system can just fight it off, think again. After 60, the immune system naturally weakens. Even a mild bacterial infection can trigger systemic inflammation, and that's where the heart takes a hit. There was a detailed CDC report that showed dozens of outbreaks linked directly to raw sprouts, many affecting seniors and older adults with weakened immunity. And here's the worst part. You can't smell it, you can't see it, and washing the sprouts doesn't remove the bacteria once they're inside. I'll never forget Mr. Anwar, a 74-year-old with no history of heart disease, who ended up in the ER with a rapid heartbeat and low blood pressure. After days of tests, the cause wasn't his medication, stress, or even his heart. It was a bacterial infection from raw alfalfa sprouts in his sandwich. It sent his system into a state of stress, and for a heart that's already aging, that kind of stress is dangerous. It's not just about food poisoning. It's about what infection does to your whole body. When your immune system goes on high alert, it releases compounds called cytokines. These cause inflammation in your blood vessels, can spike your blood pressure, and increase your risk of heart arrhythmias or even clot formation. So, what can you do if you like sprouts? First, don't eat them raw, especially not from salad bars or prepackaged mixes. If you really want to eat sprouts, cook them lightly. A quick stir-fry or toss in hot soup kills harmful bacteria while still giving you some texture and nutrients. Even better, replace them with microgreens. They look similar, taste fresh, but are grown in safer conditions with a lower risk of contamination. And one more tip. Avoid feeding raw sprouts to anyone with a heart condition, compromised immunity, or digestive issues. The risk simply isn't worth it. Now, on to the last vegetable, and this one's a shocker. It's deep purple, soft when cooked, and often recommended for cholesterol. But when it's eaten in the wrong form, it can quietly introduce a compound that disrupts your nervous system and puts pressure on your heart. Let's take a closer look at eggplant. Eggplant, also called aubergine in some places, is one of those vegetables people assume is always healthy. It's got that deep, rich color that screams antioxidants. It soaks up flavors like a sponge. And for years, it's been part of heart-healthy diets like the Mediterranean plan. But here's what most people over 60 don't know. Eggplant contains a compound called solanine, a natural toxin that, in certain conditions, can irritate your nervous system, increase inflammation, and even elevate blood pressure or disrupt heart rhythm when your body becomes sensitive to it. Solanine is a glycoalkaloid, and it's found in all nightshade vegetables like tomatoes, potatoes, and peppers. But eggplant has some of the highest concentrations, especially in the skin and seeds. Now, for most healthy adults in their 30s or 40s, a little solanine isn't a big deal. But for seniors with weaker kidneys, slower digestion, or compromised nervous systems, solanine can quietly build up. There was a clinical review in the Journal of Pharmacology and Pharmacotherapeutics that described how solanine, even in small doses, can interfere with nerve signal transmission, leading to symptoms like heart palpitations, muscle stiffness, fatigue, and yes, cardiac irregularities. I once met a widower named Paul, 75 years old, who loved cooking ratatouille. He made it every other night. Eggplant, tomatoes, a little olive oil. But after a few weeks of strange fatigue, heart flutters, and dizziness, he came in for a checkup. His labs were clean, but his EKG showed irregular rhythm patterns. We removed nightshades from his diet for 3 weeks. His heart rhythm normalized. He couldn't believe it. The issue wasn't eggplant by itself. It was the frequency, his sensitivity, and his age. And that's the thing. Food isn't good or bad in a vacuum, but it can be the wrong food for your heart at the wrong time in your life. So, what should you do if you enjoy eggplant? First, always cook it thoroughly. Roasting, baking, or steaming can reduce solanine levels significantly. Never eat eggplant raw, especially if it's slightly bitter or underripe. Second, avoid the skin and seeds if you've had digestive or heart rhythm issues. That's where most of the solanine lives. And finally, rotate your vegetables. Don't eat eggplant every day. Give your body variety. Your heart will thank you. And here's something important. If you're already taking medications for blood pressure or heart rhythm, Combining them with high solanine foods like eggplant could intensify symptoms or cause unexpected side effects. Always pay attention to how you feel after meals. That little flutter in your chest? That wave of fatigue? It might be your body sending you a gentle warning. Food is powerful, but power works both ways. It can heal, or it can harm. Silently, over time. And now that we've gone through these 5 vegetables, let's take a step back and look at the big picture together. So, what does all this mean? It doesn't mean you need to be afraid of your food. It doesn't mean you have to throw everything out of your fridge. And it definitely doesn't mean your best years are behind you. What it does mean is this: your heart has carried you for decades. It's been through joys, stresses, sleepless nights, celebrations, heartbreaks. And now, more than ever, it deserves kindness. Not just in how you rest or move, but in what you choose to eat, quietly, day after day. Just a few small changes, like steaming your spinach, rinsing that pickle, lightly cooking your garlic, skipping the raw sprouts, or roasting your eggplant, can take pressure off your heart and give it the support it needs to keep beating strong for years to come. And if you're watching this thinking, "That's me. I eat those things. Maybe that's why I feel off lately," then you've already done the most important thing. You've become aware. From here, everything gets easier. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these 5 vegetables surprised you the most? Was it the garlic? The sprouts? Maybe you felt some of these symptoms and didn't know why. And if this video helped you even just a little, tap that like button. Subscribe to Health 365. We've built this channel just for you, to guide you through this season of life with clarity, comfort, and confidence. Because aging with power doesn't mean pushing harder, it means getting smarter. And together, we'll keep your heart and your spirit strong. I'll see you in the next video.